I, Helena Peterson, Associate Professor at Umeå University in the northern part of Sweden, and Ignacio Fredajas Garcia, now at the University of Reykjavik in Iceland, right? Are welcoming you to this SIEF working group meeting on migration and mobility. And we're really happy to see you here, even though it would have been, of course, wonderful to see everyone live in Helsinki. But anyway, it is great that we can have this scholarly gathering here and see each other's face who are into the field of mobility and migration in SIEF, and also get to know what sort of activities has been going on and what are the future ahead. So I wonder, Ignacio, if you first can say a few words about yourself.
Mm-hmm. I've just finished my PhD at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, studying mobilities and informality. And 1 month ago, I started a postdoc position in the University of Iceland with Kristín Lofsdóttir, with a project on racialization and mobilities in Europe. And we are doing research in the Canary Islands. So I'm starting this 2 years contract, and yes, happy to be chairing the SIEF group with you. And also I'm convening a panel with Noel Salazar in the SIEF next week, also associated with the group on migration and mobility.
Thank you. Since we're not so many people here in the Zoom room, I wonder if we can just take a few minutes to introduce us to each other, because it would be nice to have a description. So the next one that I see in my Zoom room is Gloria Frisone. Please, Gloria, can you say a few words?
Yes, hi everyone. I am a medical anthropologist. I'm working in France, in the north of Paris, in a district called Seine-Saint-Denis. It's a peripheral and marginalized district in the north of Paris. And I'm working on, as a postdoctoral researcher, I'm working on the access of prevention care of migrants population, especially elderly migrant population. But I'm interested in migrant in general and migrant roles in Europe, especially for new forms of combining a life in the Europe and in another country. So new forms of rules and laws that combine two kind of residential living for elderly migrants. It's the reason why I'm here today.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And the next one I see here is Silke Meyer, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Silke Meyer. I'm Professor of European Ethnology at the University of Innsbruck. And it's really nice to see the line of succession of this working group in here, because on my screen I have Katrin on my left, who chaired the group before me. Claudius and I then chaired the group for 2 years, and then we handed over to Ignacio and Helena. And this is exactly how the tiles are on my screen now. So this is really nice. When Claudius and I chaired the group, we had a focus on remittances. We had a 4-year research project on remittances between Austria and Turkey. At the moment, we are editing a volume on this, and it's It's still a lot of work, but it's coming together, and this is great. Claudius is finishing up his PhD, so all the results come together here. This is one project in the field of migration. I am currently involved in another one, which is called Migration Narratives, or Migrant Narratives, and we're also editing a volume there at the moment together with Brigitte Böhnisch-Brednich from New Zealand and a couple of other scholars. It's a real international group, and it's a really nice project.
Thank you so much. Great to hear about your different projects. So please, Hanna-Lina. Sorry, I can't see your last name in my Zoom room here.
Hello, my name is Hanna-Lina Värre. And can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
I come from Helsinki, Finland. And I'm here today because I'm going to apply for doctoral program at the Helsinki University next autumn. And my topic is dealing with migration issues. More precisely, it's the research topic is going to be about transnational death. And I'm going to ask the question, where do you want to be buried and why? And I'm going to do the research among migrants who have moved from Estonia to Finland during different times and for different reasons, and who are living, most of them are living very transnational lives between the countries. And this is my first time here in SIEF, and I'm glad to meet you all. Thank you.
Wonderful, Hanna-Lina. It sounds like a very intriguing doctoral project.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, Julia Popcheva.
Hello, everyone. I'm also for the first time here in SIEF. My name is Julia Popcheva, and I'm a PhD student from Bulgaria, Sofia. I'm working on a PhD thesis concerning micro-communities that are formed among Bulgarian migrants and Bulgarians in Bulgaria. Is a comparative study. These micro-communities are formed around folklore dance ensembles, but I'm interested more in the social part of these relations and communications, as people gather not only to share a hobby, but also to share their everyday life, to share their holidays, and they start living together and compare it as a second family. So this is my interest in researching in my PhD thesis. And during that time, as Bulgaria is part of EU since 2007, and I work with young people, students in universities who traveled from Bulgaria all around Europe to study. And I'm interested in their perception of borders and boundaries all around Europe as they grew up as part of EU, as European citizens. And me being already 40 years old, I have been part of one Bulgaria that has not been part of EU. So for me, it's also an interesting topic, and that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that presentation. Please, Catherine Sontag.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Very good to be here. As Silke said, I'm like the predecessor of you. And we had the first, I remember when we founded the group at the SIEF Congress in Croatia. And then we had the first working group meeting in Basel with around 60 people, I think. That was very nice. And I'm happy to see how everything continues. So I'm a postdoc at the University of Basel in Switzerland. And I'm a fellow at the NCCR on the Move, which is a Swiss-wide network on migration mobility research. And at the moment, we also have lots of activities online. So I was just thinking it makes sense maybe also to link more closely to invite you. And my current research is on negotiations of citizenship in urban spaces. So we're looking at different topics like the situation of in Brussels of people who are undocumented and homeless, or the situation of people who are fighting for more inclusive voting rights. And I'm also a bit involved still in my previous project on the access to higher education for refugees, so student mobility and challenges. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Katrine, for that presentation. So thank you so much for all the presentations. I can just add that, as I said before, my name is Helena Peterson, and I'm Associate Professor in Ethnology at Umeå University in the northern part of Sweden. I have been for a decade now studying highly skilled mobility. I have been studying, for example, physicists, plant scientists, life scientists, people in different medical professions, and also now researchers in the humanities. And I'm continuing with a couple of projects who are linking the different groups together, also in relation to mobility and scientific and scholarly curiosity. So that is just a quick summary on what I'm doing. But as a chair for the Migration and Mobility Group, together with a co-chair together with Ignacio, I'm really happy to see you here, as I said before. And we have a meeting agenda, as you might have seen from the PowerPoint slide that has been distributed through the mobility list and the Facebook list. So I wonder, Ignacio, if you can just present what the activities has been during the past years, and then we can talk about future activities and the possibility of either changing the chair or co-chair, or the possibility for me and Ignacio to continue. It's an open question, but please, first a short presentation about the activities, please, Ignacio.
Well, starting from the last CIEF, I convened a panel with Abel Polese, and one of the main activities that we performed these 2 years is to transform this panel in a special issue. So at the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic, we met in February in Lancaster, hosted by Fasila Bimji, she's also a member of the group. And they organized a new working group that is MIDEX on refugees and diaspora in the UK. So they host the first this workshop to organize the special issue. So 5 panelists from CIEF in Santiago were present there, and we discussed our papers after the CIEF, and then we made this special issue, and it was published last March in Migration Letters. So it is a product of the working group, and panel sponsored by the working group. It is one of the outcomes of this year's activities, and it's acknowledged in the papers. I mean, people recognize the importance of the panel to discuss at the beginning, then the workshop in Lancaster, and then the publication of the special issue. The special issue is focused on transnationalism, mobilities, and informality within Europe. And I think that it's a good set of papers and very grounded, and the success or the interest for the group is like 5 people out of 8 authors are part of this group. I'm the only one present today, but I'm sure that they are interested, and they will come to the CIEF. Then with Elena, you want to tell about the workshop and the problems that we have to organize the workshop in Sweden, because then the pandemic arrived in 2020. We're planning to to make a workshop at the end of 2020 in Sweden, but we couldn't make it because of the mobility restrictions. That's obvious. Then at the last minute, we moved to try to do something virtual. But at this point, there was a lot of tiring and fatigue because of the virtual events at the end of the 2020, and it was not very success. We didn't have many papers coming to this virtual workshop organized by this group in UMEA. So we couldn't make this workshop that was planned. That is the main activity for the chairing during the meantime between one CF and the other. That's the main activity, and we couldn't make it. But I think that it's obvious that this year was 2020 was crazy for everyone, and we couldn't make it. I don't know, function or make it. I don't know if you want to add something, Elena, about.
Right. Yeah, I really apologize for not being able to organize this mid-year meeting at Umeå University. The thing is that I had it basically fully funded, so I was very disappointed. I had it funded through my research project, and I also got a grant from Umeå University. So because we really wanted to offer participants free accommodation at hotels, for example. So when the pandemic came, as Ignacio just said, we really tried to shift it to online the last minute, because there were in the beginning of fall 2020, there were kind of the restrictions were not really clear, but then it became more obvious during the fall that the restrictions were just going to be harder and harder throughout Europe. If possible, if we continue as chairs, for example, and again, I can completely understand if someone else is really enthusiastic to take over, and that's fine. But if we can continue as chairs, I think it will be possible to find funding for organizing a meeting at Umeå University in 2022. But with that said, I really want to highlight and applaud all members of this SIEF migration and mobility group for all the types of activities you have had during the pandemic. I think it's astounding with the plasticity of the human being, how you can actually transform your work into this type of Zoom meetings and try to find out different types of working strategies during the pandemic. So I'm so happy to see that people has published a lot and participated in different types of virtual meetings and other types of conferences, and that people has kept up their scholarly activities. That's really awesome. So I just wonder if any one of you would like to add something or have any questions.
Can I just say, I mean, I yeah, thank you both so much for steering this this working group through these times. It's been, I mean, we all know this. It's been a real challenge, and as you said, I mean, we can adapt, and I'm impressed what actually did happen. At the same time, it's taken a toll on us, and I think it's taken a toll on the networking. I mean, one thing I would really like to stress is what I didn't expect and never thought about, but really liked, is that the meetings I participated in, especially in the migration context, the virtual meetings have been so different internationally in international terms. I mean, people have come in from all sorts of different places. I mean, usually, we're in Innsbruck. When we have an international meeting, that's Katrin and me from saying somebody from Switzerland, somebody from Munich, and then us, and then we call this an international meeting. We've had meetings now from people from places I've never heard of, and really people brought different aspects to the table, because when we talk about migration and mobility, we're ethnologists, of course. We always have our lens, we have all our perspective. And talking to somebody from, I don't know, Vanuatu, and which is a small island next to in between New Zealand and Australia, and it's been so eye-opening to actually have these people kind of not at the table but on the screen and have their perspective. And it's for me, it really changed migration research that year. And it would be fantastic to keep this. At the same time, I can't wait to go to Umeå and join your meeting in person. So I think that's something we might want to consider for the future activities of SIEF, that the pandemic has taught or has brought different people together. I think that's a really important point. Again, at the same time, I'm all for going to Helsinki and being in Helsinki to a SIEF meeting. I also realized how having international conferences from your own home is kind of tearing everything apart. So it's family, it's job, you're still teaching, you're still doing everything together. So that's taken a toll. And I think it was certainly the right idea not to add another virtual conference when you felt that there was a fatigue of the virtuality. But still, thank you guys for hanging in there and for doing all this. And I mean, when we think about where to go from here, I don't know if anybody has sort of an idea who wants to be the next chair. I would be very much supportive of the idea that the two of you continue if you're happy, if you're prepared to do this, and take this as a timeout, but then realize your ideas that you had.
Please, Katrin.
I totally agree. I was just applauding. I totally agree. It would be great if you continue. It sounds excellent. And don't worry, but I think it was good, to go with the pace that we had last year. Absolutely. And keep these ideas up for next year or the year after, when it's possible to realize it, or realize it in a hybrid or online format, whatever works best at that time. And I also agree with Silke. I think I had the same experience, that it is so amazing how connections are suddenly spreading all over the globe, and it's possible to invite people and to join meetings all over the place. And I don't know if that's also an issue for SIEF, being so centered on Europe, to open up a little bit out of this working group.
Right. Really good points from both of you, I think. And I also had this experience that suddenly it was very easy to organize, for example, as just a small seminar group with the people participating from different universities. And it was, of course, very cheap, and no time needed for traveling. And one could use very small budgets to give honorarium to just guest lectures from the other part, completely other parts of the world. So one needs to see the benefits as well. And also, I think it's interesting that you're mentioning the hybrid forms of conferences that actually might be much more common in the future. So I wonder, is there anyone else who would like to add something here, or have other ideas or comments? Because I wonder if we can just reflect on this hybrid form for the next mid-year meeting if a hybrid form would be a possible way of organizing a conference, so that we can, for example, invite people to participate from countries outside Europe, for example.
I think there's no way of going back sort of behind the hybrid forms. I mean, also in terms of sustainability, in terms of climate protection, in terms of all sorts of ecological ideas, we need to make the most of what we learned over the last year. And I think a hybrid form is going to be sort of state of the art and for the next years. I really can't see us going back to the way it was. And I also think it wouldn't be the right signal, as I said. I mean, in terms of our university has now forbidden flights within Europe, for example. I mean, you can still do it, but you really have to pay an extra funding into sustainability funds, and so it's understandable. There's no need to take a plane when you go to Vienna from Innsbruck. There really isn't. So, and of course, I mean, North Sweden might be a little bit different, but I would very much support the idea of a hybrid format.
Right. Any other opinions? Or yes, please, Katrin.
However, if you have funding, it might be worth thinking about how to distribute it, because if in the end it turns out to be all the people who can afford it are there and all the people who cannot are online, then it's also a funny power game or kind of relation that starts there. So maybe there would be a different way of distributing funding if it's available at all.
Right. Yeah. So, for example, the funding I had for the meeting for 2020 was, for example, as I said, I had funding for hotel beds for many participants, and also for food and beverages, for example, and that is the easiest target for the internal funding for the university. For example, it's much harder to get funding for the traveling, but I think it will still be possible to gain that type of funding. But also for economic reasons, the hybrid form is also good. Not only the geographical distance, etc. Ignacio, what do you think?
I wanted to ask to add another layer, that is this break between the intimacy, how we are working from our houses, how children are appearing in our screens, how the family is coming to the academic world finally. No, that's for me it's a good point. I have a daughter of 3 years old, and I was 3 years ago asking in the congresses if I can go with my baby, but few congresses have this supportive space for having children or your partners there. So with this, in this point, I think that there are many also like political people who are like saying, okay, that's my room, that's my family is here, I'm teaching or I'm participating in a congress and my children are here. So, and also it has a gender dimension. So I was wondering if for the workshop, this midterm workshop, we can include these things. Like, why not organize a workshop in which hybrid or not, children and partners are welcome and part of this, as maybe a creative or I don't know, like a reaction against these academic spaces that are closed and are very, as the congresses, not like. And also, I think that it can be breaching some inequalities, because overall for women who have young children, it's very difficult to go to congresses, even participate virtually because they are with the children. So if we are encouraging people to participate even with the baby here, I don't know, it can be another thing to add. And it comes from, I was talking yesterday with also a member of the group who is gonna have a baby in some months. And we were talking about, it would be nice to be in Sweden next year together with our children, right? So why not to add this thing to this workshop, like trying to bring these people. And of course, I agree with Katrin and Silke that we need to bridge not only for people out of Europe, because, for example, for me from Spain, it's very difficult to go to North Europe for congresses because I cannot afford many times these things. I mean, within Europe, you have also these inequalities on funding. So, yeah, would be nice to try to take in account these things. So, thank you.
Yeah, I really like the idea.
Silke, please.
Yeah, I really like the idea of sort of mobility as in sharing space, and the space blends into, and I also have to now soon move to another room because I have to vacate this room because the family is here. And they already said that Saturday morning is a very inconvenient time to have a conference. So I think this is a great idea, and maybe we have just one panel, or maybe have a sort of some room or space where we can share thoughts and develop this even as a research interest. I think this is a great. I mean, how do people deal with it? What kind of different backgrounds do we have? What kind of strategies, practices do we have to sort of create this working atmosphere at home when you have, you see something behind me, but you have no idea what's going on there and there from the screen, and a lot is going on usually, as we all know. And so it would be really, I think it's a great idea to look at this sort of more, systematically into, and I think it really is European ethnology at its best, dealing with these very individual practices, individual ways of coping with different situations. And having said that, I'm just going to go to the other room. I'll take you with me.
Great. Good comments from both Ignacio and Silke. Thank you so much. I think it's a very good idea to have some sort of child care during conferences. And my experience is actually that when I have participated in conferences in the US, childcare has been an option organized by the conference organizers, and also those organizations has also offered stipends for parents who are bringing either their parents with them or a partner to the conference. So I think that is definitely something that other conference organizers should consider. And I have also been participating as a parent with the children when my husband has been at psychonomics or the biannual meetings in neuroscience, and they have been actually great in organizing that type of both activities for children and funding for parents. So having that said, I think that is definitely something that we should take into consideration for the meeting in 2022. Right. So I wonder now if
Julia has her hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please.
Yes, no problem. I just want to add that in Bulgaria we had already such a situation when we had a conference and a baby participating together with her mom at the conference room, and it is not something that is unfamiliar here. Of course, it's something occasionally happening, but this is a very good idea to be offered the childcare because, as Ignacio mentioned, and me being in the southeastern part of Europe, I know that sometimes you really have bothered with either financial or other issues, not being able to participate in conferences and congresses. So it is a very good idea to be offered the child care, or at least for us being at home now. And as Silke mentioned, I'm here in a village. I'm a guest to a house that is repairing at the moment, but still I can enter and join the group, although I'm not a part of it. And this is my second question, actually. How can I become a part of this working group? Because I'm a guest here also. But what we have learned now with these hybrid and online conferences is that our family members can participate, and it's something usual. And for example, my cat is Zoom addict, and it appeared that my cat recognizes when we have online conversations, and he always participates. So I should say that my colleagues here in Bulgaria already are used to seeing my cat in the screen and me shouting at him and pushing him away, although with muted microphone. So I think that times and COVID changed us not only in the way that we meet, but in the way that we perceive people in front of the screen, because we see them as part of their everyday life and as part of their families. And this is also important for our ethnographic perception, I think. So yes, thank you. This was my intro here.
Thank you so much for your reflections, Julia. Yes, there for sure has been many blurred lines between private life and work life, and perhaps talking about hybrids, perhaps there is some sort of hybrid space that has evolved between those domains that people at least before perhaps have more tried to separate. So Ignacio, do you have any more reflections on this possible future mid-year meeting?
Well, this idea of hybrid, not only virtual, personal, but also between personal life, academic life, like blurring these borders, even with our pets or our, I don't know, spaces. I mean, be more inclusive with our environments. I think that, or it's super nice idea. How to do it is another thing that we can, if we are elected chairs, we can discuss about, and also we can ask people who is here about concrete ideas, about specific ideas on how to do it. But yeah, for me it's fantastic, and I think that it's great. And just to add an answer for Julia, that for being a member of the group, the only requirement is to be member of SIEF. And so if you are a member of SIEF, we can add you in the website, and your name is there, and you can participate and everything. So just send me one email, and I will add you.
Thank you very much. I'm a CF member, so I'll send you an email. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that, Ignacio. Catherine, please.
If you start brainstorming on this idea of how to think of integrating layers of life and work, and I'm also interested, I mean, if you like, I'm interested to brainstorm with you. And then just one more idea, if in the end it turns out to be online, I really enjoyed the migration working group meeting of the German Anthropological Association in Vienna. because there they managed to create intimacy by bringing small groups of 3 people together to actually discuss their work and putting different questions to their work, and everyone had to submit like 2 pages of an ethnographic vignette. And that for me was really it still sticks in my mind. It's more than just listening to presentations and having 10 minutes to discuss or something like this. So if it depends, of course, how many people are coming, but I wonder if we are a working group, whether we can also play with different formats that are also really were easy to do online to create more intense discussion amongst us, or actually working with each other.
Right. Yeah, really good suggestion, I think. What Ignacio and I had discussed when we talked about the 2020 meeting was to have some sort of speed date variant where people were paired together to introduce their work for each other. And the aim with that was to have people to present their work for so many people as possible, so that people actually meet face to face, you know. And also we had plans for a PhD student or postdoctoral mentor workshop, where junior people, PhD students, could be paired with the senior researchers to have mentor talks. So those were, 2 examples of activities that were not these typical talks or presentations. So I think also that it's good to really think about all sorts of all possible ways of organizing research meetings with variations, and also variations for different target groups as well. But I mean, of course, if you have any ideas or want to have give us some input, you're of course most welcome. That's awesome, I think. And what you just presented now is also a very good way of organizing research meetings, no matter if it's face to face or on Zoom. So I wonder if we can, Ignacio, please.
Sorry, just one idea that I don't know if it's feasible, but it usually needs like a big topic of the workshop of research that we can talk about, but also it can be different topics that we can like use as a motto for the workshop. And I was wondering, because there are some of us that we are working in different projects, and maybe we can use these projects as topics of research. So then we can use our materials and our knowledge to do this. For example, Silke with remittances, or now Catherine with his project, or we can use this knowledge, and also it can somehow justify our projects, like we are presenting our project, not organize another workshop for each project, but use this workshop to presenting our projects. I think that, for example, with my project that is leading the Professor Lofsdottir, maybe she can present on racialization and organize something about. It's just an idea, because maybe in the group there are people who want to present their projects too. So maybe we can do a part of the workshop for that. Just an idea that.
Right. I think it's great to think about the workshop as a working workshop, so that you can present what you just mentioned, Ignacio, and that people can really present working progress papers, or even ideas, or even perhaps also future research projects that people are writing rounds on right now. So we do not need to be limited to a very specific form of presentations. Or what do you think?
Yes, totally agree. Like giving an open space for people. May someone in a project wants to do a specific project on a topic or something more performative, or even I was thinking on like useful tools, like how to write a project of research. That's not common to know during your academic career, and then you need to learn how to write these projects. May we can also ask the people who has projects on advice to how to write a project of research. I mean, for funding, it's an idea for PhD students or master thesis, or even for postdocs as me. I mean, like brainstorming about things that we can do during this workshop.
Right. I wonder if, sorry, please, Catherine.
Sorry. And maybe just to connect to that, also to share opportunities of funding or fellowships, because that's our potential to be from different countries in Europe and to be under the pressure to be mobile, that we can share opportunities with each other or how to do these things in different countries.
Right. Yeah. And you two are touching upon, of course, a crucial thing, and that is the general competition in research funding right now. And since we have even though we have different types of climate restriction, we also have an increasing pressure of being mobile. So I think it's really good that we highlight that there are different types of funding infrastructures in different countries, and different countries has also different genres of writing research grants. It is different, I think, in Spain compared to Sweden, even though we have a much more similar way of writing grants now due to the EU funding as a frame for many countries of writing grants. But I wonder if you know of anyone in SIEF who has received an ERC or Marie Curie fellowship grant. Because that would also be something that could be interesting for many people. I cooperate with a person who is a mix of, listen to this, anthropology and astronomer at the University of Edinburgh, but she is also dealing with mobility and migration. She's studying Black physicists and Black astrophysicists and astronomers and their career mobility. Amongst others. And she just recently received a Marie Curie grant, for example. So even though she is not in ethnology, but is working much with the cultural anthropology perspective, perhaps that could be one person to invite to give a presentation, how to write a successful Marie Curie grant, for example. But I mean, if we have anyone within CF and who are writing specifically from our perspectives in ethnology, that would be the best, of course. But still, I guess such a person could give very valuable insights, nevertheless. So we can think about different options. Good.
Yes. Just one comment that we did not say nothing about the Facebook and the mailing list, and I was wondering if you want to say something or to add something. We were not very active, but once in a while we were sending things and posting. But I don't know, maybe there is another way to reach you, or I don't know, any comment on that if you want to add something. If not, we will continue in the same line, I think, and trying to be more active, but still only no change at all. I don't know if you think that we can use another ways to reach people out.
Also, we should add that, of course, everyone who are part of the mobility and migration email list and the Facebook group are free to post information about seminars and grants or funding or postdoc positions or whatever. So please feel free to use those different types of media channels. Right. So just for the formalities, I just wanted to ask you now so that it's clear. Is it okay for you who are participating now that Ignacio Fredajas Garcia and I, Helena Peterson, are going to continue to co-chair this group together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Ignacio and I will continue to co-chair the group for another 2 years. Great. So I know that we have, I know that it is a Saturday now, and it's the weekend, and talking about private life, I understand that people also that you have other types of duties now during the weekend. So I wonder if we should wrap up this meeting, or do you want to bring up some other topics that you think is pressing? Please, Silke.
No, I was going to second you on that. We have a long week ahead of us with a lot of screen time, much more than we are allowing our children. So I think that would be a good idea. But it was a lovely start. It was really got me into the CF mood. Thank you for that.
Wonderful, thank you. Catherine, please.
I was just a bit worried whether people have already realized this time zone, and whether now at 10:30 the big crowd of people might come in. I don't know. I'm just wondering whether you thought about that, because it's the first meeting. And in fact, I also woke up this morning and said, "Oh no, it's 1 hour earlier." so I don't know if
right.
Makes sense to wait for 3 minutes.
Right, but you know what? Right. You know, I can.
Sorry. With the Wolver app, you can put it on your own time zone.
Okay.
So that's for me, because I was going through the whole entire week going, okay, where do I need to be where? And the app I thought is really convenient because you can put it on your own time zone and then it gives you the right time.
Yeah, that's awesome. But perhaps Ignacio and I can stay for another 10 minutes in this Zoom room, and just to wrap up this meeting and conclude what we have been discussing. So we can stay here, and in that case, if people are joining this room, we can of course remind them about the time differences. What do you think, Ignacio? Okay, but with that being said, I would like to thank you so much for the participation. I think there were really good reflections about both the situation that has been during the past years, during the pandemic, and now how we can look forward together for the mid meeting and how we can organize that meeting, and also what sort of content we might have. I think it was also nice to see you face to face, even though it is Zoom. I really appreciate appreciate to see everyone, and I look forward to perhaps see some of you during the Zoom panels later during the week, and also, of course, to see you possibly live in Umeå in 2022. So thank you so much, and enjoy the weekend rest. Take it easy.